All right, so welcome to New Mexico Desert Classics. I'm Dan, and every day when you wake up, you don't know what's coming. Today I was supposed to go drive about 2.5 hours to look at 11 barns full of classic cars that have been barned since the late 80s, early 90s, and the owner canceled. So instead I woke up today to my wife coming back from the store and saying, hey, something's leaking under Pia. That's not good. I've had Pia at the house instead of, Pia is my mother-in-law's. Instead of it being up at the ranch, I've been adjusting the clutch so that it's easier for her to drive. I had it all done. And my wife comes home from the store this morning and says, there's something leaking under Pia. It came out, looked like oil. I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. So I popped the engine lid and it wasn't oil. It was a severely swelled, deteriorated fuel line. So I'm guessing this fuel line originally, it's nice and firm here. It's not nice and firm here. I'm guessing this is not ethanol safe. So it deteriorated, started weeping. When it weeped down onto the engine, collected some oil, which is why it seemed like it was oil. But it was a fuel oil mixture. So I proceeded to grab the line and it came off at the fuel pump in my hand. So then it's pissing fuel out of this end and I was not prepared for it to come apart. It literally is just like that, just coming apart. I was not prepared for that, so I scrambled, grabbed a old antique porcelain pan that I keep in the garage to start collecting the fuel. It's off of the hard line, so it's the line between the fuel pump and the hard line from the engine, so it's just gravity feed. It's not pressurized, but always keep, of course it took me 20 minutes to find this as I tried to plug it and wrap it up so that it wouldn't gravity feed too much. Only lost probably half a gallon, but this lifesaver right here is, I keep it, I should keep it where I know where it is. It's a 1-inch section of fuel line with a screw in the end of it. So as soon as I found that, then I could quit trying to find something that I could shove into the end of the fuel line. So I ran to Napa, picked up the fuel line that I need, and we're gonna replace it. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, you always wanna make sure when you're working with something that's gonna flow on you, you wanna make sure you have all of your parts in order. So the first thing I'm gonna do is remove the remaining fuel line off the fuel pump. So the fuel is flowing from the front of the car to the back of the car. So we wanna make sure so there's no pressure into the fuel pump, nothing's gonna come out of the fuel pump. So what I'm going to do is set up the new line on the fuel pump end so that all I have to do is pull the plug on the gravity feed fuel line and put the new fuel line on so that I lose a minimal amount of fuel. And of course I've got a drain pan set up under it. Alright, so that is where the old fuel line broke off. I'm going to reuse these clamps. So if you're wondering how this happened, old fuel lines are not meant for ethanol fuel, but non-ethanol fuel is difficult to find, and I'm guessing my father-in-law, when he fueled up this car, did not buy ethanol-free fuel. So I'm going to take this clamp off, and of course it's going to fight me. And so here's our new fuel line. I'm going to put the clamp on it, set up where I will be able to tighten it. And we're going to put this on the line here. This is 1/4 inch, should be 5 millimeter, but it's 1/4 inch, but 1/4 inch is going to work. This is a braided ethanol compatible line. fighting this clamp. I'm also fighting this flathead screwdriver, which is a very fine tip flathead, and it's very frustrating that I'm fighting it. But fighting it I am. And yes, if I'd have thought before starting the camera, I should have just grabbed an 8mm socket to not do this with a flathead, but I did not plan ahead. So tightening this down on this end. And make sure you get it nice and snug. There is a bulb on the end of the fuel pump fitting that'll keep it from coming off, but you still want to make sure you get this sealed, because like a Volkswagen, Fiat 500s run nice and hot, and if that were to come off, we'd have a catastrophic engine fire. All right, so I'm pulling off of, again, I want you to watch this. This is what ethanol does to a fuel line. It just eats it. All right, I am gonna need to cut this to length, so I'm gonna cut you off and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm gonna cut it to length. I am gonna leave it a little bit long, but you don't want excess fuel line causing crazy bends and kinks and whatnot. Actually, I have that backwards. You always want to make sure that when you place your line, you're going to be able to tighten it down. And while I was grabbing the stuff to cut this, I grabbed a better size screwdriver. Of course, I did not go ahead and grab the 8mm socket that I needed, because I'm an idiot. All right, so I am old school, but I am also environmentally conscious, so we're going to catch every bit of this fuel and then properly dispose of it. So I'm going to do the quick pop this off. I know you can't see that, but just popped it off the hard line, pushing the line on the flex line onto the hard line. Gonna get it way up in there. All right, I'm gonna pause it and get you guys where you can see. Okay, welcome back. So, all right, I just dropped my fuel plug in the fuel, because that's what happens on days like today. You know, I really do love working on old cars. I'm not a fan of working on them outside. Yes, I live in New Mexico. Yes, it's winter. No, it's not like winter in real places with winter, or places with real winter, I should say. But hunched over in the driveway. And that was the screwdriver into the drain pan. All right, so. And yes, I should be wearing gloves. No, I'm not wearing gloves. Feel free to tell me how the fuel's gonna leach into my body. I like to joke, I am a veteran, technically a combat veteran. Thank God I didn't get hurt, didn't have to hurt anybody in combat. But I like to tell people when I get the, hey, you should be wearing gloves, that's gonna leach into your skin. Yeah, I've got enough anthrax running through my body to kill a small village, so I'm not too concerned about that. All right, we should be good. I'm gonna bring you in for a close-up of the finished product, and then we'll be done. All right, so as you can see, connection line is replaced. Now, to properly environmentally safe dispose of that fuel, get my fuel plug out of it before I do that, and Pia won't be pissing on the driveway anymore. Y'all have a great day. Hopefully I'm going to make it out to the shop to work on some 914s today.